I made the North Sea Empire! Now I know everyone does this, but this video includes everyone's favorite things. Lots of dead kings, adultery, and Bulgaria, so strap on in. I started as Tanglehair of Vestfold, who historically unites Norway, but for the North Sea he will also need to take Denmark and England, and will need to hold these kingdoms for 30 years. I took the Majesty focus for the extra prestige, as it is used to buy troops in a tribal state, and for my lifestyle, I picked the August tree, aiming for the true ruler perk, with the goal of vassalizing the other Norwegians with minimal bloodshed. To start vassalization, I'll actually need to be worthy to be their liege, so I declare war on my weak neighbor and take his county, but war is expensive and my treasury was empty, so I did what any self-respecting Viking would do, and I pillaged England for some gold. After stealing the peasants' hard-earned money, I formed the Duchy of Viken and became a duke. I had hoped to vassalize my neighbors peacefully, but they grew too strong, so once again I turned to war. Unfortunately for me, my neighbor Uppland declared war, claiming the great city of Oslo. I looked at their troop numbers and decided to increase the size of my Bondi troops in order to counter their archers. I lost the first battle, and then I lost the second battle. In response, I married off every female courtier that I could to recruit the strongest knights in the land. If you're possessed, leave a like and subscribe right away. I have tons of more content coming out soon, but leave a comment if you have an idea for a video. I waited a second for my troops to regain their strength, but before I could fight the soldiers of Uppland, the Danish declared war on me. They had an army of 5,000, while I only had a handful of men. I quickly built more troops, specifically Varangian veterans, and forged an alliance with an ally of similar strength to mine. I knew I would lose if I fought head-on, so I needed to fight each army individually. I catched the Uppland army coming off a boat, giving me a huge advantage and my first win. The Danish armies were separated, so I waited for my ally to get close. It was a decisive victory for my side, and cut the Danish forces quite a bit. I had the option to press for a white peace, but I knew I could win for the extra money and prestige, so I had to keep going. I was able to catch the Uppland army while they were split and won another victory for the first war. The Denmark armies returned and tried to take my capital, but this time they had way less men, so I easily won this battle and thus won that war. The first war was always the easier one, so I was pretty confident that I would be able to win that one too. Of course, right after I thought that, Sweden joined as an ally of my enemy, and I quickly called for a white peace to avoid dealing with all that. With some newfound confidence in my army, I took another county from a neighbor. I spent a few years helping my allies win their wars. It was only fair, after all, they helped me. Sweden became united in the meantime. I did a quick hunt to level up my fame to declare a duchy war. The enemy sailed straight to my capital and we had a siege race. I may have won the siege race, but I was unable to get back after sieging their capital, and they managed to capture 3 of my sons. Right before I won the war I started, Sweden declared war on my former enemy, now ally Uppland, and I joined in. I had previously exchanged hostages with Sweden, and while I had kept the child alive for morality's sake, they put my child to the sword. I would remember that. Sweden beat my ally as I was unable to help, and I finished my invasion to once again be at peace. At this point, Sweden controlled a part of Norway, and I had already had a vendetta with them, which was great since they declared war on my other ally, and I joined in. We got swiftly defeated. In my anger, I conquered another smaller neighbor. I may pretend to be a diplomat, but in reality, I'm as much of a Viking as Sweden. So I took the pillage dynasty legacy. Now avoiding Sweden, I took another small county in the north. Finally a strong enough duke, I took my first county peacefully through diplomatic means, and with that, I was large enough to create the first of the 3 required kingdoms of the North Sea Empire, the Kingdom of Norway. As a newly crowned king, I vowed to get revenge for my child and allies. I vowed to destroy Sweden. I recruited more knights and prepared my military. I declared war for my Norwegian de jure Duchy of Uppland. Sweden has lots of heavy infantry, so I create light footmen to counter it. The 2 armies fight in the Battle of Oslo. The battle did not end in my favor, and I lost the city, losing the war in mere months of starting it. To regain strength and fight the Swedish another day, I construct buildings in my realm that will help the cause. I caught wind that Earl Eystein of Derby, a member of my court, had committed a terrible crime. Out of wedlock boinking. Disgusting. As the leader of the land and protector of the sacred laws, I challenge him to a trial by combat. To the death. I dodged his first attack. I responded with intimidation tactics, as if he were one of my own soldiers. He did not falter. I then used my hunting skills to sneakily stab with my left hand while feigning an attack with my right. Unfortunately, I missed. I ran around to avoid attacks, attempting to tire my opponent out. Unfortunately, King Haraldr tripped and broke his neck on the fall. He was an inveterate diplomat, and there was no argument that he could not peacefully resolve. Except fortification. That was too great a sin, apparently. Taking the throne as King Halfdan, a diplomat just like his father, I started a funeral to praise my wonderful father. Right before the funeral, however, was my chance to get revenge. I challenged the Earl to yet another fight to the death. Stressed out from all the loss in the upcoming fight, I get near death by mental break. I know that winning this duel will bring me peace. Eystein rushed at me, quickly with a flurry of slashes. I played defensively, letting him tire himself out. I continued my focus on defense as I did not see an opening. While he continued to come at me, I chose to berate him about his past failings, about how he would never live up to his father. But I misstepped, and caught a blade to the throat. Eystein once again sent a member of Norwegian royalty to Valhalla. Continuing as my brother King Haraldr II, I decided against another duel, lest the country that I loved fall into ruin. I continued the tradition of teaching the kids about the usefulness of diplomacy, but do as I say, not as I do. As I realized Denmark was weak from recent wars, I declared a conquest on northern Denmark and sent my much stronger army across the bay. During the war, my sister challenged me to a duel for a relic, and as my family before me, I accepted without question. I was hastily defeated, but luckily for me, this fight was not to the death, so I actually got to live. Afterwards, the war for Denmark was no struggle at all, as I took castle after castle, eventually winning. The gods clearly favored this victory, as shortly afterward, I was given a blessing, the Conqueror trait, an honestly broken and overpowered trait that I generally reduce the probability of, but in this game, I just so happened to be blessed. With this new power, I looked across the sea at a weak Mercia with no allies. I declared a war for East Anglia. Right after starting the war, my spy master discovers that my brother was scheming against me with the goal of taking my crown. It pained me to do so, but I had to throw each of my siblings in prison, as it wasn't just one brother. The war for East Anglia was going well when the powerful Swedish vassal Stalander declared war on me. Now fighting two distant wars, I allied myself to Danelaw through a marriage. I started by finishing my war with Mercia, then sent my troops back home to defend against the invaders. Once my allies made it across the ocean as well, I attacked the army sieging my capital, catching them within literal days of the siege being lost. I managed to defeat their army, I took back the war goal, and then won one final battle before winning the war. After a month of peace, I continued my conquest of England and took Middlesex from the English. Learning nothing from earlier, I challenged Jarl Sigurdur to a fight to the death. He is the one who recently tried to conquer me, so I felt it was appropriate to try to kill him. I couldn't possibly lose a fight to an old, dying man. I killed him with one attack. Justice is served. With the truce ending, I declared war on Denmark yet again. This time my eyes on the southern part. A very easy victory brings yet another kingdom into my grasp, the Kingdom of Denmark. I added a Scandinavian elective in the event of an untimely death to consolidate the power of the now two kingdom titles that I held. Earlier, I had imprisoned my brother for working against me. This was to my favor, as I was able to take the land my father had given him when he died. Looking to Sweden, I dutifully calculated their troop numbers while assessing my own army. I could tell I would be outnumbered, so I formed an alliance with Munster. This time, I wasn't going to declare war for just a duchy. I was going to declare war for a kingdom. I picked the subjugate war goal, which gave me King Bjorn II's main title as Sweden, while also granting me each vassal within his kingdom. Winning this war would complete my hold of Norway, Denmark, and give me the extra kingdom of Sweden. Regardless of the rewards, I also wanted to take revenge for my family. I called in my allies and raised my troops. Sweden attacked my army as it was separated from the pack. My allies arrived just in time to join the fight, reversing the tides of battle. During the fight, I received news. My brother was slain at the hands of Jarl Kund. I vowed to take revenge upon his family. I know I started this feud. I killed Canun's father in battle, and he took it upon himself to destroy my family, but I wasn't going to sit there and let that happen. We sieged a few castles until the Swedish army returned. I started the fight, but my allies were late to the battle. We faced a great defeat. With the money that I had been collecting for the years preceding the war, I purchased a group of 2,000 mercenaries. Regrouping with the mercenaries, I worked my way into a favorable battle against just part of the enemy army, stack wiping a third of the enemy. The remaining Swedish sieged my capital as I split my troops up to regain supplies. Right before they finished their siege, I regrouped and attacked. I caught yet another group of troops separated from the main force, bringing the war score up to 100. I completed my goal of subjugating Sweden, completing my kingdom of Norway, my kingdom of Denmark, and obtaining the kingdom of Sweden. Sweden was already in election, so keeping power with one heir would be easy. My army now consisted of 10,000 men, way more than any English kingdom could stop. I declared war on England yet again and took another duchy. Right after winning, I had to deal with a quick inherited war. Danelaw had served me well, helping me in the war against Sweden. But the goal of the North Sea Empire was more important than honor, and I broke the betrothal between our children, ending the alliance. I declared a war for the Duchy of Jorvik. I won a few easy battles, killing thousands of Norsemen, who grew weak from living in England. In the end, the war wasn't too hard and I took Jorvik, an important part of the North Sea. My tribal state vassals decided to take it upon themselves to conquer Finland, and in doing so, they brought me into some easy wars that I had to clean up. From all these wars, I gained enough prestige to level up my fame and unlock the Invade Kingdom Caucasus Belly. England with no allies and half my troops, an easy war yet again. A couple battles here and there, mostly sieging castles. I got to 100 war score in no time, finishing the war with a decisive battle the English had no chance of winning. After usurping the title, the third and final kingdom of the North Sea Empire was in my hands, the Kingdom of England. This moment was bittersweet. King Haraldur II of the North Sea has a good ring to it, but it was not to be, as an important requirement for the decision is to control the three kingdoms for 30 years, and I was a 49-year-old man who would not likely see 80. The Danelaw agreed to become my vassal, and I took Northumbria from Alba, thus completing the Kingdom of England. I turned England into an elective title as well, but the vassals did not like the idea of my heir becoming their king. I would have to either remove their titles or bribe them. I took Iceland for fun in the meantime. After taking a title, the rebellious vassals rose up declaring war on me. They had lots of troops, but I had more. I was going on a rampage across the countryside when the rebels sailed to my capital attempting to take control. I sailed my troops over and defeated the armies to prevent this. After winning the war, I revoked all the rebels' titles and distributed them out to more loyal members of court. Well, my wife died, and I lost stress. Surely I could live to 80. While I hoped to live to 80, I didn't expect to. I bribed voters in the England election just in case I randomly died. I created a hybrid culture between the Anglo-Saxons and the Norse. I had now held Norway for 30 years, and I just had to wait for the others. I swapped to a learning lifestyle with a medicine focus to improve my health and hopefully live forever. I got the healthy trait, which should increase my lifespan. If I get the whole of body trait, I would certainly reach 80. I translated a book for some learning experience, and died, at 66 to a stroke. Not even close to 80. Now I had to play as a king whose name I can't even pronounce. This new character is a drunk, but also strong, so the health effects kinda cancel each other out. While I knew I should live long enough as this character, I was still worried about succession due to my family's history of untimely deaths. Do you remember that house feud from earlier? I killed that guy's dad and he killed my brother. Well, his dynasty still existed and controlled Novgorod and the White Rus. I seduced the king of Novgorod's wife and laid with her, which is extra funny since my character was gay. Everyone found out and I got the trait adulterer, but it was totally worth it. I raised some raiders and attempted to raid his capital. I raided and didn't get much, but I also did not see any enemy troops. Well, you know what's better than raiding? Subjugating an entire realm. The supply limit in this area was super low and I had so many men, so this war was very annoying to manage, but I pretty much took the whole kingdom uncontested. I'd say I won the feud between our houses. I even had Bulgaria now. Years go by without conflict until my vassal lost the war to this stupid kingdom, losing part of Norway that is required for the North Sea Empire. And wait, I also lost the northern part of Denmark? Time to get that back. There we go. While I was taking the Norwegian land back, I unlocked the whole body trait, making it extremely likely for me to live old enough for the decision. I fought some rebellions, not that they had many troops. My wife also died, that was unfortunate. Sorbia took some of Sweden, which doesn't really matter, so I just ignored it. I was fighting another rebellion when I noticed a pop-up at the top of my screen. Decision available. Secure the High Kingdom of the North Sea. With just a click of a button, I became an emperor. It made my country an ugly color, but I did it. Hey, you know, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and then click one of these other videos. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.